Feeling like a complete stranger within yourself, it creates a lot of anxiety and it creates an immense amount of pressure on yourself because you want to be able to fix it, right? You want to be able to get yourself out of that feeling and out of that state. And so today I thought it was really important that I share, my experiences with rediscovering myself and why it truly is very important that you take the time that you need to find yourself. And so I encourage you to stick around to the end of the video as I'll be sharing an exercise that you can do basically to help you find yourself and to rediscover all the areas within your life and what you believe to be true and what you feel you need in those particular areas. So hope you enjoy. Hey, what's up everybody? Michael A. Benton here with michaelabenton.com. If you're new here, welcome. On this channel, we focus on helping men take control of their lives and achieving their desires. So if you're a man looking to better himself, subscribe to my channel, hit the bell to be notified when I post a new video every Tuesday. I myself went through, rediscovering who I was just a few years ago, and honestly, it felt miserable. I'd be standing in the mirror and yeah, I could see a physical image of myself, but I couldn't recognize beyond that image. Like I was looking at a complete stranger. And really, in sharing this video today, my hopes was that, by me sharing my experience, that it would help you, dig your way out of the state that you're feeling and help you kind of regain your path to who you truly are. So enjoy. One thing I realized after, I started initially rediscovering myself was that we pay way too much attention to what's on the outside of us, and not enough attention on ourselves. As for me, I was always, searching the internet and looking on Instagram and just seeing all the different lives that were taking place and what people were doing. And I was spending a lot of my time eloped in their lives, and looking at their day-to-day progress and seeing all the accomplishments that they were making and the mistakes that they were making as well. But I wasn't doing enough focusing on myself, and I guess I was naive to think that things would just kind of happen for me and things would work out the way, I would perceive them in my mind, but that's not how the world works, and so I really just wanted to reiterate that we need to spend more time working on ourselves, developing our own characteristics and really acknowledging the people that we are, and not wanting to imitate someone else's success or someone else's glory or someone else's body style or anything like that. We need to, this body that we have, it's a supercomputer, right? And it needs to be taken care of. It needs to be maintained. And obviously, as you know, with technology, if things aren't maintained and maintenance, they malfunction, right? And they break. And as humans, as we experience, negative feelings and emotions and depression and anxiety, and we have all these types of feelings, it's because we're not in tune, right? We're not in tune with ourselves and the ability that we have to create the lives that we want. So, I really just wanted, again, to stress that let's stop focusing on, the outside realm, right? And let's put more focus into ourselves. And I think when you do that, you'll definitely find a connectivity between your mind, body, and soul, and I guess we all at some point want to become one within ourselves, right? We want to be able to operate as one, as one unit. And so that's what I realized early on as I started rediscovering myself, was that I was paying too much attention to the wrong things and not enough attention to the right things. And so that would be the first thing that I would, want to stress to you. My experience with rediscovering myself really started a couple years ago after I think I had been laid off. Might have been the second or third time, probably within a year and a half. And, I really just felt low at that point. I remember being laid off. I remember going home and sitting on my steps in my house and just thinking like what happened? Like what the hell is happening? Like my life is just, it feels like it's crumbling, you know what I mean? And I wasn't sure, what I was doing and if I was doing it right and if things were ever going to work out. And, I kind of got myself into this state of negativity. And, that's when I kind of discovered personal development and really started looking at ways to improve my experience in life. And what I found was that in order to improve the experience of your life, you need to first change the cause of it. And I always believed that the cause was external, right? It was my boss. It was the job wasn't working out for me anyway. It was, spending too much time with my friends or not enough time with my friends or whatever it was. And it was never really reflected towards the true person or the true cause, which was myself. And once I realized that I am the change, I am the cause of why this out here, what I see is what it is, right? It's because of myself. And so really just going back to, the basics of understanding, okay, what is it that I want? Who am I? What do I believe in? What do I value? What kind of relationships do I want? Why do I believe these things? Why do I need these things and want these things? And, that really just brought it full circle for me. And like I said, the biggest thing that I took away from that was that, I am my own creator, and there's nothing that I cannot do when I understood that. And same for you. There's nothing that you cannot do when you understand that, you are the creator of your own destiny. You make the changes. You decide what your life looks like. And there is no external forces that can do that for you. So that was my experience. And again, I just wanted to share with you some of the things that I, began to understand as I transformed into the person I am today. I wanted to quickly point out 3 things that I saw that caused me to, wanting to rediscover myself and why I was feeling, lost and not knowing who I was. And one of the key things was I would begin to question, the things that weren't going right for me. And I began to question, the things that I failed at. And that really had me doubting myself because things weren't working out, right? And so, I would get a job and I would think, okay, this seems like something I want to do. And then 6 months goes past, and I'm either looking for another job or things aren't working out. And so as I now begin doubting myself, like, okay, is this right? Am I moving in the wrong direction? And when you start to think doubt in your mind, everything starts to fall downhill from there, right? You start to become in this state that you can't correct it, or that you just can't figure life out and it's not working for you, and you don't know if it's going to continue that way, or if things are going to change. And so I felt negative, and really that affected not just myself, but it affected all the relationships around me, and everything that I touched kind of just became hardened, and still. And so that was one of the things that I had witnessed and understood as I was moving towards rediscovering myself, was that I began questioning and doubting my own abilities and my own intuition, my own thought process. And that was part of the reason what led me to rediscover myself. And the second reason why we feel that we don't know who we are is because of how others identify us, right? Their perception of us. Your parents have a perception of who you should be in life, right? And how you should act and how you should feel, right? And that's all taught from their own beliefs, right? And same with your teachers and your mentors and your coaches and your friends. They all have a perception of who you should be, when in fact you don't even have a perception of who you should be or who you are. And so if you hear that long enough and you see that long enough, you start to identify their perception of yourself, of who they think you are. So you start to act the way that your parents think you should be acting. You should start to act the way that your friends think you should be acting, and again, you take these on as if these are you, and you don't really understand that these are wrong until you get into situations where, again, like I said in the first part, where you're failing, right? Or things aren't going your way. Or you just get this innate feeling in your body that, this doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel comfortable to me. I don't feel that this lines up with who I am. And by that time, you're probably an adult, you know what I mean? And you're probably in your 20s, and maybe you've had children, or maybe you've gotten married, and significant things in your life has happened. And now you're at a point where it's like, hold up. Now you're starting to question, okay, what have I been doing this whole time? Like, I don't want to act like this. This is just kind of how I've been, how things have been. And so identifying with other people's perception is another reason why when we find out, is another reason why we look to rediscover who we are. And the third cause, I believe, is titles, right? And so when you are given a title of husband, or you're given a title of father, or CEO, or manager, or black, or white, or gay, or whatever your title seems to be or is, again, it's based on that perception. As a father, I should be acting this way. I should be feeling this way. I should be teaching my children these things, and so you're always taking on, again, the perception of what that title means. And it may not necessarily be the same meaning that you have versus someone else, but again, it's what's around us that we encompass. And where we fail is that we fail to look inward first, right? We look inward first, and then we project. And so that's where it starts. So those three things, I think, are the reasons why, some of the reasons why we cause to rediscover who we are and feel the way we do about not knowing who we are. And so there's ways that we can definitely change that, and you're not stuck if you're feeling that way. You can dig yourself out of that and start to become the person that you feel you want to be. It's just going to take some time and some effort for you to get comfortable with who you are, right? And to search again, and to understand what drives you, what motivates you, and what values do you have, and what the things that you believe, and what interests you, and all those stuff. So we'll get further into those as we move along in the video. Hey, comment below and share what are some steps that you took to rediscover your own self. I think it's highly important in finding oneself, right? And finding yourself, especially when you're at an all-time low, right? Or you hit rock bottom. It's imperative in order for us to move forward and to move beyond our circumstances and our experiences, that we take it back to the basics, and we understand, okay, what, like I said before, what drives us and what motivates us. And once we have a better understanding of who we are, then everything else outward seems very easy, right? You can navigate life in a different way than you have before, because there are going to be certain obstacles, and there are going to be certain distractions that you can push aside, because that's not part of your path, right? That's not part of who you are. You can say no to certain jobs because your values and what you stand for, and if this particular job doesn't seem to be ethical, that doesn't align with who you are, so you can say no to that, right? And push that away. So really finding yourself and embracing all the qualities that you have, the strengths that you have and your weaknesses, and being able to work on those things, and the skills that you want to manufacture. And it's very important, especially later on in life, when you start to become, a father, or a husband, or grandparent, or whatever, that you have now taken full control of yourself, right? And there's no one on the outside that can change your perception of who you are, right? You know who you are to your core, and no one can change that but you. And that's a beautiful thing. When I realized what I liked, my qualities, and what I was good at, what I wasn't, and the things that I wanted to fulfill and do, and I really became, honestly, I felt like I became a better person, not only for myself, but for my family, and my kids and my wife. And that really helped my relationships, with my friends, and I really just started to become one with myself, you know what I mean, and focus on the things that I wanted to focus on, and not be pulled astray. And again, that's a beautiful thing when you can have that experience. And so hopefully you guys find that as you move towards finding out who you are, that you find that connectivity with yourself. All right, so as I mentioned before, there is a writing exercise that you can do that's really going to help you rediscover who you are, and help you get back to the common essence of yourself, right? The things that you feel, and the things that you believe, and the emotions that you portray in these particular different areas. And so really what you're going to do is take out a piece of paper, and you're going to number the categories from 1 to 12. And I would leave a good amount of space in between each category, because you're going to do some writing, and if you need to, grab some more paper to continue on. But what we'd like for you to do is, let's just say the first category is health and fitness. So you're going to write down the category health and fitness, and then underneath that, you're going to, without thought, you're going to write what emotions does that bring up for you when you hear the words health and fitness? What do you feel when you hear the words health and fitness? And just be true to yourself. So an example could be, let's say I write down health and fitness. An example that I could write would say something like, health and fitness I think is very important to me. I think that, being fit prolongs life, and it allows me to experience things in a way that I couldn't if I was unhealthy, and something like that. And you would do that for each category, and at the end what you would have is basically a biography of the things that you believe about each category and the way that those categories make you feel. And again, this is a way for you to see, okay, maybe you're reading through the categories and you're like, man, that's what I believe. And it starts to have you question yourself. Okay, do I really believe that? Why do I believe that? Or yes, that is so true. I've always felt this way. And again, it just allows you to connect with yourself. And that's when you start to, that's when you really start to understand who you are, right? Because these different categories are health and fitness. They cover finance, they cover relationships, they cover emotions, intellect, and I'll have them all down in the description there for you, so that way you know exactly what the categories are. But they cover the large array of life in every aspect, and you can get very detailed as to how these play out in your life and how they are incorporated in who you are. And this is just one way to really kind of bring yourself back to your essence. There are plenty of other ways, but this is a quick exercise that I did, and it worked out great, because I was able to see, who I was on paper, is basically what it was. So, I truly hope this video provides you some insight as to, rediscovering yourself, and possibly some courage, to finding your way out. So if you're trying to achieve better things, but you're just not sure where to start, or you need accountability and some clarity, I would highly urge you to click the link in the description below. And this is where you would schedule a one-on-one consultation with myself. And again, this is just a phone call where we can discuss some of the things that you're trying to achieve, and maybe some of the challenges that you're facing, and maybe together we can point you in the right direction of how to get those things. So I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Please take a look at these next couple of videos to continue building on your mindset. If you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe, and share it with your friends. And as always, we'll see you on the next one.